Right, so thank you very much for staying on here on the Joy News Desk. Inadequate infrastructure is hampering the intake of fresh students at the Doma Senior High School in the Bunahava region. Major projects, including an ultra-modern assembly hall, have stalled for the past 8 years. Now, Nesta Kafuya Joma was at the school and has sent in this report from Doma Henko.
Doma Senior High School has a population of over 1,000 students. Overcrowding is a major feature at the Doma Senior High School. This is attributed to lack of facilities such as assembly hall and dormitories. The school's dining hall has now become a multi-purposed facility with dining and other school functions conducted here. This situation has slowed down academic work because whenever there is a function, apart from dining, the students spend hours moving furniture outside and then back after the program. This foundation is supposed to be an ultra-modern assembly hall, but construction, which commenced during the late President Atta Mills's reign, has stalled. The assembly hall is expected to accommodate about 2,000 students upon its completion. Another project which has been abandoned is an administration block. Assistant headmaster in charge of academics for the school, Vasco Duku, says the appalling situation has prevented school authorities from admitting more students.
It's my prayer that one day government will listen to us, know whatever the problem that we are facing in the school here, so that we come to also our aid. And we are also appealing to the old boys and girls of this school to also be awakening. Nowadays, it is the old boys and girls who have been helping a lot of schools, and without them we cannot also function very, very well. So they should also intend to donate a lot to a school, as have been done to other schools.
The home economics department of the school has also had its fair share of the numerous challenges.
So here's what's trending. A group of Ghanaians calling themselves Concerned Ghanaians for Responsible Governance are expected to picket in front of the Flagstaff House on Tuesday, the 1st of July, 2014. The move is to protest what the group is describing as harsh economic conditions in Ghana. According to the group, the current energy crisis, charges on financial services coupled with the shortage of petrol in the country are unacceptable.
This is a peaceful protest that we, as a group known as the Concerned Ghanaians for Responsible Governance, have decided to embark on. We have decided to embark on this exercise as part of our constitutionally guaranteed right to protest. And we are basically protesting against the increasing hardships that ordinary Ghanaians are facing in the country. It's becoming unbearable by the day, and we feel that every Ghanaian deserves to be happy. And we also believe that our happiness as a people is inextricably tied to responsible governance, and therefore we are able to demand responsible governance from government or any political party which holds the reins of government, of power to government. We would inevitably be ensuring that Ghanaians are happy.
Exactly how do you intend to do this?
We intend to simply converge at one focal point, which is right opposite the Flagstaff House, around next to where the torch is. We are converging there. We are not going through a march through any designated route. In our notice of the event to the police, we intimated to the police that we are not embarking on a march. We are simply, as at now, I can't place a figure on the numbers. We are having a meeting with the police today to discuss security arrangements tomorrow.
Okay, so how far do you intend to go with this? Presenting a petition to the president or what?
Yes, we are going to present a petition to the president tomorrow. Now, we are hopeful that the president is a listening president and that he would act favorably to the petition that we would present tomorrow.
So that is how the group of called concerned Ghanaians decided to register their displeasure at how the economy is being run. Now, I'll read some of your messages on Facebook. You can continue to send them in. There's facebook.com/Joy News on TV or my personal handle, Kemini.Amano on Facebook. I also tweet at Kemini or at Joy News on TV. I'll be more than glad to share your thoughts. I'll be reading a few more in a bit, but let's go off to the Upper West region, where the regional minister Bidizidin has warned municipal and district assemblies in the region that they will be sanctioned if they fail to meet the September deadline on the street naming project. I'm sure you recall that deadline that was given. He said some assemblies have the penchant of saying that they don't have the money, and which he said is not negotiable. Bidizidin gave the warning at the launch of the street naming project in the Wa municipality of the Upper West region. Here's a report by Rafik Salam.
Apart from these two streets, namely the Insurance Street, which links the Wa police station to the Wa airstrip, and the Epa Street from the Gongomuni junction to the Sokpayiri traffic lights, there is no other street in Wa that has a name. The Insurance Street, although very popular, many people can hardly tell how the name came into being. The Epa Street is named after a city in Belgium due to the symbiotic relationship between the Wa and the Epa municipalities. For most residents here, the decision by government to embark on a street naming project is welcome news, as it will open the municipality to the rest of the world. The inauguration of the street naming project took place at the forecourt of the Warner's Palace.
It is to ensure quicker response by emergency service providers like fire service, ambulance service, and the rest. It also serves as a tool for efficient delivery of municipal services. Provide location addresses to contribute to easy identification of properties. Provide an address platform to facilitate government initiatives such as national identification exercise, national population and housing census.
Deputy Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Emmanuel Kojo Ejekum, called on chiefs and traditional rulers to support the project for it to succeed. Outgoing Upper West Regional Minister Bidizidin called on assembly members to share knowledge on the project with other sister district assemblies in the region.
I want to commend the One Municipal Assembly for blazing the trail in this exercise. Their successes and failures in the implementation process should serve as lessons to the other sister assemblies.
Rafik Salam's reports from Wa for Joy News.
So reports reaching us indicates the Ghana Revenue Authority has been directed by government to suspend the implementation of the 17.5% valued-added tax charges on non-core financial services. I'm sure you remember that this was supposed to take effect July 1, according to government. Now, the industry players have been urging government to withdraw the 17.5%, which they say its implementation will cripple the private sector, which is already constrained by many benefits. And we've been trying to contact officials of the Revenue Authority to clarify matters, which we're still doing. When we do, would have a conversation with them. But now I have Executive Secretary for the Importers and Exporters Association over the telephone. We'll speak with him on this matter over the next few minutes. Hello, Samson.
Yeah, come in.
So Samson, reports reaching us indicates that indeed there's going to be a suspension of the 17.5% VAT on non-core financial services. Your thoughts into this?
Thank you very much, Kemi, for giving me the opportunity on Joy News this morning to also contribute to so far as the country is concerned. Let me also say good morning to importers and exporters of this country. Well, first of all, let us send our gratitude to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, President John Dramani Mahama, for taking the bold steps this morning. It is not only the 17.5% that he has asked the Ghana Revenue Authority to suspend it, but you realize that there are several areas that he has also asked it to stop, or other people should report to him and brief him what is going on in the country. This is what we've been looking forward from the president for a long time. But indeed, it is not, nonetheless, it is not late. We think he has acted at the time we need him most, and that is where we need him, and that's the time we need him, and he has done it. We want to pray, and also call onto the president that we have put certain factors and issues to him, that will, even when he listens and act as he's just acting today, it will bring more money to the state. Because when you come to the internal generation of revenue, besides the external loans and whatever that grants government is getting to help build this country, we think a chunk of the Ghana Revenue Authority money is coming from the import. And therefore, whatever thing that we put that is happening in the port there, that does not help this country. We think we want the president to listen and act accordingly.
Now, Samson, while it is unclear for how long the suspension is, you may just say that we're running away from a battle we would have to face later anyway.
What is the battle that are we facing? I'm told, clearly, if you listen to some of the media houses this morning, I'm told that even the bankers are saying that those core areas that we are going to do tax payment or for we to pay, most of them, government is collecting the money. The Ghana Revenue Authority is aware. Most of the transactions we do in the bank, certain areas, they are paying to banks and to government of Ghana. And so it is not a crisis. It is not like a fuel that we say, okay, if government is unable to subsidize, government is not subsidizing that. My money is sitting in the bank, your money is sitting in the bank, giving you requesting for your SMS alert, I requesting for my SMS alert or internet banking. I don't think government is subsidizing the banks. And government will say that, okay, if you don't put the tax and pay to the banks, then one day the bankers will come back and say, look, we don't have the money because government, we've been waiting for subsidy from government. Government is not doing so, they are passing on to the consumer. And that is to we, those who hold our various or individual corporate institutions accounts with them. You understand what I'm saying?
Samson, just hold your thoughts for a minute. Financial analyst Sydney Kisley-Hereford has joined the conversation. You're welcome to the program, Sydney.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning to you. This move by government, is it positively reactive to the pressures that it's had after it's announced the 17.5% VAT on non-core financial services?
Sorry, repeat that. I didn't catch the beginning.
I'm asking if government's reported move to suspend the 17.5% or VAT or non-core financial services is a positively reactive move by it.
Hello?
Hello, Sydney, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
I'm asking if it's such a good move by government to suspend, as we hear, the 17.5% VAT or non-core financial services.
Well, yes, it's an absolutely important reversal. The law itself is badly written up. The implementation of the law itself is a major challenge in terms of how to collect VAT on all these individual transactions from the corporation. And the whole thing would have been a complete mess. And it needs to go back to Parliament for Parliament to actually go through again and ensure that you can actually implement this law. I mean, Act 870 was brought in very hastily and was pushed through Parliament on the basis of some means of government being able to raise revenue. And I don't think it would have the desired impact. I've written about it and I've spoken about it several times. And I'm very, very glad that they have actually reversed the decision and are going to look at it again. And I hope they are. and I hope they never bring it back.
If government wanted to take a second look at this, how should government view it?
Well, it has to go to Parliament, and Parliament should look at the possibility of implementing it, one, and then secondly, whether there isn't an alternative and better way for government to raise additional revenue than to use the 17.5% VAT on commissions and fees and charges through the bank. I think it is very unfortunate that we are trying to cloak a goods and services tax as a value-added tax, because by definition the two things are completely separate. And when you listen to what we are trying to do, or you read what we are trying to do, you see we are trying to backdoor a goods and services tax and couch it as a value-added service. And this is very, very wrong, and it will not work. I heard that the banks were up in arms. I heard the unions were up in arms, and we were facing a possible shutdown of the banking sector because everybody could see that this is just bad law. So the only way to do it is to look at it from two angles. Can we implement this, one? And two, is there an alternative way to raising the kind of revenues that we are looking at? Because as of now, government still cannot say exactly what the expected revenues are that they want to be able to gender from all this kind of additional taxes on the financial services.
I want us to try and answer the second question. Are there alternative ways to raise the same kind of money? But we'll do that shortly. Samson Awingobet is Executive Secretary for the Importers and Exporters Association. I was speaking with him earlier just before he joined. Samson, like you heard Sydney. Perhaps we shouldn't bring this back at all. That is good for you, isn't it?
Let me say good morning to my very big bro, Kingsley. How are you, Kingsley?
I'm very well. How are you?
We've been communicating only on air, but we've not had the opportunity to meet ourselves.
I'm sure one of these days you will meet. But how does this help you if we don't bring back the 17.5%?
My sister, let me tell you, this country, we wake up, we pass a laws without confronting, without consulting the brains that we have in this country. Now, what is happening is that anything that goes to the Parliament, from MPP era, from Rollins time, to Professor Mills and to President Mahama time, all what they do is in Parliament, majority gets passed it on. Now that they themselves have also seen that the implementation, if it takes effect, they are going to pass it. Okay, so most of them are also complaining, meaning we just want to appeal to them that anytime there's a document of that comes to the Parliament, they should look at it. Even the committee on such on financial the financial committee in Parliament should even make it a point to call stakeholders like us, to call brains like Kingsley Hayford and others to come and say, look, this is a document. You people are the technical people, you people are the business people. Look at it, advises. Should we pass it? Should this thing come? Or when it comes, what will be the negative impact and the positive impact onto the people and of course, into the economy at large? But so we are hoping that it should not even come back again. Look, let me tell you, I just told the Minister of Trade and Industry some time ago that if these measures that they are putting, people will draw their money. Keep it at home. As we speak with you, today is tomorrow is going to be 1st July. I was told that even a lot of people have already gone to the bank to withdraw their money because it is their money. It is not government who gives them the money. But we are not saying, as a good citizen, we should not pay taxes to develop our country. But certain areas, we have not gotten there. Maybe when the time comes that we get there, we may look at it in a different angle. But for now, I think there's a big problem. Let me also throw a challenge to the Minister of Finance and then, of course, to the President as well. If they're withdrawing the VAT from the financial services, then they should also withdraw the 2.5 that they brought it to import levy import, because the law was passed the same day. So if there's a problem, there's a problem for the whole body of that law. They cannot tell us that the 2.5 that was implemented, that one there was no problem, and the 17.5 that is come to the financial institution should withdraw, because
I see.
Who are still crying on it. So it's a complete law. It came on the same day. So therefore, if there's a problem for the 17.5 to be implemented, we think the President should also make it a point to withdraw the same thing from the import bill.
I see. So Sydney, if we wanted to find an alternative way of raising the money which we need badly, what would be those alternative ways?
I'll give you probably the one best and the simplest. A lot of people invest money in treasury bills, and they are getting paid upwards of 23% per annum at the moment on the 91-day treasury bill. This interest that they get from investing in the treasury bills is at the moment not taxed. That is the simplest and best way to tax. The banks would be able to withhold the taxes at source and transfer the money directly to the Ghana Revenue Authority. It is simple, it is painless, and there is a lot of money that is being made by people simply by collecting monies in advance from government itself. When government actually puts out a project and they pay mobilization fees and advance payments, people simply put it in treasury bills, sit on it for 90 days, collect the interest, and then carry on. That interest is taxable income.
Won't this have any effect on borrowing?
Why would you want to do that? It's already costing the person money to borrow, and you want to tax that borrowing as well. It is totally illogical in a financial manner. It doesn't make any sense. You want to tax people on what they earn, the income they make, not on what they spend.
I'm talking about taxing people's interest they earn for borrowing or lending to the government, like you mentioned, the treasuries. Wouldn't it have an impact on it?
Well, no. Let's make it very clear. The government issues treasury bills, which most of us, or those of us who have disposable income, will go and invest in. So on a 91-day, you will get something close to about 2% of the total amount, because it's on an annual basis of 23%, and that's about 2% a month. So you will be able to get about 6% on that interest. That income that you are earning is income that you have for disposable spend. That income should be taxed. And it is not only individuals, it is also financial institutions, investment companies, and everybody who is into the capital market who is actually using this as a cheap source of earning income. The banks pay tax on that income because they declare it as interest income. And every other individual who is doing similar should be taxed. Government will generate a lot of revenue if they did that, rather than trying to bring in a financial services tax, which it doesn't make any sense at all, as we have said.
But say government insisted on implementing the 17.5% VAT on on-call financial services. Will that be a way that government can go about it without customers necessarily feeling the pinch?
Because I disagree with the whole thing in principle, you're asking me to give government a solution on which I disagree with the implementation. I don't think it's good law. I don't think it's a good idea. I think it is bad financial sense, and I can't see how I can advise an alternative solution of another way to be able to backdoor this. So I'm afraid I don't have a comment on this particular question.
Sydney, thank you very much for your time.
Welcome.
Sydney Casey here for this, a financial analyst. But I still have Samson Awingobit over the telephone. And Samson,
yes,
like you had, we could have alternative ways of raising the revenue government needs rather than charging 17.5% VAT on financial services. From where you sit, do you see alternative ways as well within your circles?
We have the alternative way within our circles is just what I told you. If you come to the Tema Port, there's a group there called frozen food importers, those who bring chicken legs and arms and other things. Now, most of them have imported into the country without a permit. Now, the Minister of Agriculture and the Deputy Minister in charge says that those people who imported without the permit will not be allowed to pay to clear their cargo. Now, these are cargo that are sitting at the reefer containers there. Now, electricity is have to plug onto these containers. Now, if the person imported without the permit and the person will pay duty to the state for the state to get this money and use, and you can even put a penalty because you did not collect a permit before, then is it not better than saying that we will not give you the permit to clear the cargo and the state will not also get the income from it? These are some of the alternative areas government can make the money. Government should open its eyes there. People have imported, yes, but if they did not bring the permit, or if they're looking for the the minister is not available to sign permit for them and their cargo has arrived in the country, I think the opportunity or the alternative is to put a penalty, a 5% penalty on it. Then the person pays and clears cargo. That is why government is looking for revenue. These are some of the areas government can make money. People are frustrated in the port. They can import. You understand? So I think that, as I told you earlier before Kingsley Hereford came to summarize his permission, you realize that I told you people like them, brains are there. Yeah, if the parliamentarian had consulted this person, look at the very fine-tuned proposal that he has just put up. And I think you still need to pay him for that consultation because he has put up a submission. Very nice one. And I think so what prevented them from calling such a person, from calling the industrial players to come and ask, this is what we have.
Samson, many thanks for your time. Samson Asaki Awingobit is Executive Secretary for the Importers and Exporters Association. Now, on Kemini.Mano on Facebook, Paka as symptoms of sleepy leadership. And Solomon Yantechi, well, it's good to be back to Solomon. Frank Agbenyo says it's a listening government. Meanwhile, Paka again says, well, Paka, I've got that point already. Tanko Osman says government has no choice. The leadership is just, the hardship is just too much. And they are in relation to the reports reaching us that indeed government has decided that it will suspend the 17.5% VAT of financial services. We're also hearing that the earlier reported 20% increase in fuel prices will not take place as told on July 1. But here's something that will take effect July 1. Electricity tariffs will go up by 12.09%, while that of water will go up by 6.1%. Now, we'll have that conversation when I come back. In the meantime, you can share your thoughts with us on our social media platforms, facebook.com/Joy News on TV, Kemini Amano, also on Facebook. I tweet at Kemini or at Joy News on TV. I'll be more than glad to share your thoughts like I have done already. I'll be right back.